Hello and welcome to this lesson now on dominant chords. We've looked at triads, the 3-note chords. This is the next level. So a dominant chord is a type of 7th chord. All that means is that we have the root note, as we can see in this example, G major. We've got G, B and D, the root 3rd and 5th. And then the 7th is just adding the 7th on top. An extra note on top using the 7th degree of the scale from the root note. Now, in this example, we've got G major, which is the diatonic dominant chord. Diatonic, remember, meaning only using the notes from the chord chart, because it's the 5th chord in the chord chart. In any major chord chart, the 5th chord will always be diatonically dominant. Now, if you want to use some accidentals, some chromatic notes to have a bit of an experiment, change stuff about, the formula for how to create a dominant chord is on the left-hand side under definitions. We have the root plus major third plus minor third plus another minor third on top. That's the formula. That's how it's constructed. And the way it's notated, as you can see down there at the bottom, is the capital letter with a little 7 next to it. That doesn't mean it's a major 7. That doesn't mean it's a minor 7. It just means it's a dominant. If it's just a capital letter with a little 7 next to it, it's dominant. Keep that in mind. Now, here's a fantastic musical example of a well-crafted chord sequence in a pop song. These marks are repeat marks. Beginning of a section that's to be repeated, end of the section to be repeated. When we come to this bit, we're going to go back to the beginning. That's why I'm going to follow along with the cursor, each chord as it's played, so you can see how it works and how it sounds. And when we come to this B7 here, you're going to hear a beautifully placed, well-crafted dominant chord. Because as you can see, in relation, this note here, the D goes up a semitone to the sharp. This one here, the B, stays the same. And this one here, the G, only moves one note. So all in all, it's quite musical. It sounds really good. And as you can see as well, as it follows on to the next note, the A stays the same. It's just really well crafted. Let's give it a listen. Now, that is all for dominant chords. You have now been shown how a dominant chord is constructed. You know the formula for one, so you can experiment with it yourself. Please do experiment with everything and apply everything that you see in these lessons so that it makes sense, and that will help it transfer from short-term memory to long-term memory. The more you actually apply it in real life with experimentation and in your compositions. In the next lesson, we're going to cover cadences, which are particularly important in classical music, but they usually do come up in at least one question in each exam. So that's why we're going to cover that in the next lesson, and then we're going to go through key signatures, which will explain why sharps and sometimes flats and sometimes nothing at all are at the beginning of a piece of music. Why is that? You're going to find out in that lesson, so stay tuned. Next, cadences. I will see you there.